Have you ever been told, take a deep breath before making a big decision? Have you ever not taken a deep breath and then said something you regret or wish you could take back? When the stakes are high, your natural inclination is to move through it faster. You speed up, you rush, and that's when you make mistakes. It's often slowing down that will lead you to better outcomes. Welcome to Change Made Easy. Changing your habits, routines, and behaviors is hard. We make it easy. I'm Paul Leviton, a board licensed coach who has been helping people just like you create positive, lasting change in their health, wealth, and relationships for over 10 years. Viktor Frankl said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." The situation is what it is. Your boss, your job, your partner, even your weight, your level of fitness. These things are a part of the situation that you are in. And when you're in it and you can't change it, at least in that moment, it's like a fish in water. It can't control the tides or the predators around it. All it can do is swim. Similarly, a lot of the situations you're in cannot be directly changed or affected by you in that moment. Sometimes all you can do is all you can do. And you know that change is uncomfortable and sitting in discomfort is challenging. So it's natural to try to speed through that discomfort. But the thing is, when you speed up, you make mistakes and you miss out on important things. So today, I'm going to explain why a key skill is learning how to slow down and give you a tool that you can use to give yourself a chance to win at whatever exchange you're in. Viktor Frankl, who I quoted in the intro, is one of the most inspiring people of all time. He was an Austrian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, and he founded a school of therapy called logotherapy that describes a search for a life's meaning as the central human motivational force. And even with all of the contributions that he made to the field of psychology and therapy, and having written over 39 books in his life, the thing that Frankl is most famous for is his book, Man's Search for Meaning, which as of 2002 had sold over 16 million copies. The book documents Frankl's time in Nazi Germany and surviving the concentration camps. It's an inspiring story. It's also heartbreaking. I personally consider it to be one of the 10 books that I think every human should read in their lifetime, and it's been recommended by guests on this show at least several dozen times. Quick aside, if you want that list, the 10 books I recommend to make you a better human that I think every human should read, click the link in the show notes that says book list and you'll get it sent to you for free. These are the 10 books that absolutely changed my life and will 100% change yours. So go check that out if you're interested. That book, Man's Search for Meaning, is a short, easy read that will 100% change your life. So if you haven't read it already, definitely suggest picking it up. So while the entire book is amazing, it has a ton of lessons in it, there's a quote in there that's extremely famous. You've probably heard before that goes, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." This is one of those quotes that it can't be overshared, it can't be overstated, it can't be overused. In a few short words, Frankl sums up so much of the human experience. Between stimulus and response. That tiny gap between when something happens and when we react to it is what separates us humans from every other animal on the planet. A deer sees the outline of a shadowy figure or hears a twig snap in a way that sounds like it could be a predator. They don't sit and think, what are the chances that that's a wolf and not a labradoodle? They take off running. There is no gap. There is only stimulus and immediately response. Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman called this System 1 and System 2 thinking. System 1 is your fast brain. It's the animalistic instinct. These are your reflexes, your subconscious thinking, automatic processes. This is what has kept humans alive for millions of years. System 2 is the logical thinking brain, or what Kahneman called your slow brain. This is what separates us and has allowed us to become the humans that we are today. Kahneman did this groundbreaking research around System 1 and System 2 thinking decades after Frankel's experience in the concentration camps, but that's exactly what Frankel was tapping into when he wrote those famous words. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. That space is your power to choose your response. Lower thinking animals aren't afforded that luxury. But the thing is, even though we have the opportunity, that doesn't make it automatic. Yes, we have the capacity for System 2 logical thinking, but that did not replace outright System 1 automatic processes. Both of these systems are working at the same time, all the time. When something happens, your brain and your body react. This reaction happens without your input, without your okay, or a lot of times even without your conscious awareness. When you touch a hot stove, you don't have to want to wait and think, this is hot, what should I do? Your hand reflexively pulls away before more damage can be done. And it's set up like that for a reason. That happens faster than your conscious, logical System 2 slow thinking brain could even hope to respond. So when your ancestors were surviving in the harsh elements, still hunting or even being hunted, their bodies became incredibly in tune with their surroundings. A sound, a sight, a shadow could all set off a cascade of biological processes, elevating their heart rate, sending blood rushing to the extremities, narrowing the field of vision. And again, all of this happens literally instantly, before the thoughtful, conscious brain even has a chance to think. And it allows the body to prepare to respond to danger and flee if need be. And in the natural world, a millisecond makes all the difference. So your brain and body have been crafted for millennia to respond as absolutely fast as possible to any possible danger as a survival mechanism. Every animal has this. And any animal that doesn't is extinct by now. So every animal on the planet has this natural inclination to act immediately to avoid danger. We humans have that as well, but we have on top of that evolved the distinct advantage to be able to reason. Somewhere along the line over the last several 100,000 years, our brain evolved to allow us to make decisions and start to discern. And those initial emotional and physical reactions are unavoidable. That's the animal in you. You can't stop your heart rate from getting elevated. You can't stop your brain from noticing those sounds or shadows in the dark. But it's what comes next that makes all the difference. After that initial rush of adrenaline, that fear response, after you get that gut reaction, that's when you actually do have the ability to make a choice. Your flight is delayed. You stand in line for an hour to talk to some airline attendant. When you finally get to the front, they say, "We're so sorry, but you've been bumped. The next available flight is tomorrow night." Immediately, your emotions take over. There is a physical sensation of heat in your forehead, your cheeks get red, anger and frustration happens automatically. Now, logically, looking back after the fact, you might know that there was nothing that attendant did or didn't do that caused this, that the whole system is far out of their hands. There's nothing they could do in that moment. And you might know, listening to this, that yelling at a person in that situation probably wouldn't help. It would only make both of you feel bad. But that's when you're thinking about this logically in a hypothetical situation. That person standing in line in that moment, when that rush of emotions instantly takes over them, logic hasn't caught up to them yet. Emotion happens first. That triggers an action. That's why people get yelled at. They pound on the counter. They curse. Emotion is there to make you act. The entire point of that emotion, the anger, the fear, is to spur an action. It's your body's way of getting you to move. Fear, anger, disgust, they're all negative emotions that are there to move you in a certain direction, which is away from theoretical danger. And positive emotions, happiness, joy, exist to move you towards something positive. But now there's an issue in the fact that there's a disconnect between what your emotional response is geared towards and what the actual situation in the year 2024 calls for. Your emotions come from a very basic safety animal mechanism. They're not concerned with your long-term wellness, with relationships, with society, with your mental and physical well-being. They care about survival right now in this moment. And that's why often you'll find that your immediate emotion tells you to do something, but it's opposite to what the best course of action is for yourself in the long run. Those two are a lot of times at odds. So how do you get yourself out of this trap? How can you start to make decisions that are more in line with your goals and your values and your long-term best interests? Well, as Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. Now, unfortunately, thanks to your evolutionarily ingrained defense mechanism, that space is teeny tiny. And again, that's for a good reason. In the natural world, to have no lag time between stimulus and response is a good thing. Quick reflexes meant a better chance at survival for our ancestors. But now you bring that into the modern world, and we see that it causes distress. You smell a fresh-baked cookie, and the space between the time of the smell and the response of stuffing it in your mouth is not long enough for your logical brain to remember, oh crap, I'm on a diet. Netflix says, are you still watching? And the space between that prompt and you clicking next episode is not nearly long enough for your non-emotional brain to think, I have work to do. So you go on to the next episode. What's the solution? Well, it's simple. You have to give yourself more time. You may have heard me talk about My Body Tutor. They're one of the show's sponsors, the top nutrition and fitness coaching platform in the world that offers one-to-one coaching and daily accountability with real human coaches. And as I've mentioned, I'm a coach on their platform as well, and I've been working with them for 4 years. I've worked with hundreds of clients as a My Body Tutor coach in that time, and one of the cool things about working with a real coach is that we don't use cookie cutter programs. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can check out their website at mybodytutor.com, and if you tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you on your intake questionnaire, you'll get $50 off your first month of customized nutrition coaching. And with that customized coaching, every person I work with gets a unique plan tailored to their individual goals and needs. However, even though everyone is unique, we as humans all have a lot of similarities. So there are certain tools that I and all of the My Body Tutor coaches come back to often when we work with clients and help them. And for me, the very first tool that I give new clients is always the same thing. It's simply called the pause. The pause is exactly what it sounds like, a literal pause. Because often when you're eating, you're not thinking. You're just eating because the food is there, or because it smelled good, or because you walked by something and you wanted it. You are disconnected from your actual internal hunger cues. These hunger cues are your body's way of telling you if you actually need more food or not. So you might know this as you if you've ever eaten something and then gotten to the end of it and regretted it or felt too full. That regret is your logical thinking brain catching up to your emotional brain that told you eat, eat, eat. Your slow system 2 brain remembers, every time I eat dairy, I regret it tomorrow. But that catches up to you after your fast system 1 brain says, ice cream, tasty, and you down a whole pint. So the challenge I give my clients is to stop and pause before they eat anything. When they get the urge to snack on chips, before they sit down at lunch, before dinner, literally pause. Give it 10, 20, 30 seconds. And I ask them in that time to think, am I actually hungry? Do I actually want this thing? Is this going to make me feel better or worse after I eat it? And what this pause does, allows the logical, slow, system 2 part of your brain to catch up. Because that emotional, fast brain is the one that says, ooh, smell good, eat, or chocolate tasty, me want. Logically, like many of my Body Tutor clients, you might know that if you're trying to lose weight, that Cinnabon that smells amazing is probably not the best thing for you. But damn it if that smell doesn't get you every time you're walking by it in the airport. And that's because that smell is appealing to your fast, emotional response, not your logical thinking. Your emotional brain will smell that cinnamon bun smell and think immediately, eat, need it now. And if you act in that moment, then there's a clear-cut winner. You inhale the Cinnabon, story over. The pause gives time for your logical thinking brain to catch up. It's not foolproof. You still might say, no, I still do want this, but it gives you a chance to actually think, is this really what's best for me? Is this actually what I want, or did I just get caught up in a smell? And that small gap of time is everything. That small gap of time is the opportunity to not act on impulse and emotion. And again, that is what separates us from every other animal on this planet. And it's not just about eating. Anytime anything happens, you'll see the same dance play out. Your body and brain will give you an automatic, unconscious, immediate response. Your mind, which uses logic, will take some time to decide on a best course of action. Sometimes your emotional brain acting quickly is harmless. Like when your mom says, "Hey, can you help me with something?" and you shout out, "Sure," before you realize that you have no clue what you're even being asked to do. But other times, your emotional response will have you looking back on your decisions, feeling like crap, knowing that you set yourself back and are now farther from your goals, which usually then ironically leads to more self-deprecation, which causes more internal negative feelings and more bad decisions, aka the negative shame spiral. So the way out is to pause. Give yourself more time between the initial impulse and the eventual response. Like Frankl said, this is where the magic happens. Like I teach my body tutor clients, this is how you start to take control of your decisions. And the great thing about pausing is that it really doesn't matter how long it is. Usually that emotional, non-thoughtful impulse is instant. So as long as you can give yourself even just a few seconds, that can be all it takes for you to start thinking at least a little bit more clearly. And that's why common advice like take a deep breath or simply count to 3 actually do work. If you get an email that pisses you off and immediately go into an angry tirade and hit send before you even think about what's happening, that could be bad. Taking just a few deep breaths could be enough for you to think, okay, maybe cursing out the CEO of the company probably isn't in my best interest. And while I will say that even a short pause can work, this is a place where the result is dose dependent. The longer the pause, the more time your logical brain has to catch up to your emotions, and that means better chance your logic has of winning out over your emotions. So a 10-second pause is great, but 30 seconds would be better, and 5 minutes probably even more impactful. This is why chewing slowly or putting down your fork in between bites are valid weight loss tactics. They slow you down. Even setting a timer is great advice. I have clients who struggle with snacking, so I'll often tell them, if you want chips, candy, whatever it is, all you have to do is set a timer for 2 minutes before you go and eat the thing. Often what they'll find is that in those 1, 2, 5 minutes, however long they set the timer for, that craving will pass and they'll remember, oh, okay, that ice cream, those chips, that candy doesn't actually align with my goals. That beer, that cigarette, that extra show, whatever it is. And again, sometimes the timer goes off and you say, nope, I still do want this thing. But that's fine because now you know you're making an actual informed, logical choice and not being driven by cravings or emotion. And again, not just with food. This works across all genres. I recently spoke with a client who was trying, along with his wife, to reduce their spending on Amazon. So they made a deal that during the week, they would only put items into their cart, but they would never buy it. And then at the end of the week, once a week, they would go over that cart together. And in that time, what they found is that they would go through the cart and see a lot of the things that they added to the cart, they would have bought impulsively in that moment. But when they look at it with a little bit of time, they go, I actually don't need this. And they've reduced their spending drastically. In habit science, this is known as increasing friction. To increase the likelihood of doing a habit you want to increase, you want to decrease the friction. And to decrease the habit that you want to stop, you want to increase the friction. That's why having your gym bag packed in the car makes it easier to go to the gym. And having a fridge stocked with healthy groceries makes it easier to cook healthy food. And now when you increase the friction of a habit you're trying to avoid, like not bringing unhealthy food or cigarettes or alcohol into your house, while it doesn't make it impossible to do the negative habit, it makes it harder. It's not 100% foolproof, but these things work simply because increasing friction gives you a pause. If I am craving ice cream and I go to my freezer and it's right there, that might be 10 seconds between impulse and action. That's not a lot of time for my logical brain to talk me out of it. But if I crave ice cream and I don't have any in my house, and now I think that I have to either drive to the store to get it, or I open Uber Eats and I go to order some and it says it's going to be estimated delivery 30 to 40 minutes, I can think about it and go, not really worth it. And I go on with my night. So the longer amount of time you could put in between the initial impulse and the actual action, the better chance you have of making a decision that is in line with your own best interest. Viktor Frankl found that the opportunity to choose between impetus and response is what makes us human. That is what makes us free. Unfortunately, he's right. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as just deciding to do better. Your animal instinct and a million years of bred evolution are fighting to get you to respond immediately, all the time. So the answer is to slow down. You have to give your logical brain a chance to catch up to your fast emotional brain. So your action step for this week is to pick an area that you're trying to change. It could be your health, it could be food, it could be cigarettes, scrolling, it doesn't matter. And every time you have to make a decision around that thing, set a timer. As little as 10 seconds, but up to 5 minutes would be ideal. Now, in that time, you don't have to intentionally think about anything. You don't have to think about the food or the thing you're trying to avoid. It's not for pondering. It's just to allow you to get out of that emotional state. So you're not making decisions from a place of emotion, and you have more chance for your logical brain to catch up. When you do that, you'll find that you start to automatically make better choices. Your brain is rigged against you. It's running on an outdated operating system. It thinks that all of your decisions need to be made now. It would have you believe that your initial gut reaction is always the right one. And while you should be able to trust your gut, you also have to realize when it isn't serving you. And the way you do that is by giving yourself time and space. You do know the right answer. It's just often not what you do immediately in that moment. Take a pause, take a step back, and you'll start to make better choices for your own good. That's change made easy. If you're working on changing your diet, exercise, or other habits around food and fitness, you have to check out My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the world's leading nutrition coaching platform that helps people find their healthy weight and keep it forever through sustainable habit change. And you know, as a listener of this show, that when it comes to creating change, it's all about sustainability and consistency. And when it comes to diet, exercise, and getting in shape, My Body Tutor solves the problem of consistency through one-on-one coaching, customized plans, and daily accountability. And as a bonus for you, they're offering $50 off your first month. But what really makes My Body Tutor so unique is they offer daily accountability with a real human coach. And I know because I'm one of them. I have been working with My Body Tutor since 2020. There's so much misinformation, so much nonsense out there in the health and wellness space, but not with My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the real deal. They are changing lives. I've seen it, I've been a part of it, and I'm honored to continue to grow with them. And you don't have to take my word for it. Check out mybodytutor.com, where you will see hundreds of testimonials and reviews. And as a special bonus, for listeners of this show, you will get $50 off your first month. Just click the link in the show notes or go to mybodytutor.com and tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you in your intake questionnaire, and you'll automatically get a huge discount. And remember, they offer a money-back, risk-free guarantee, so this is a no-brainer for you. And no joke, I really do work for them. So if you want to work with me personally, ask for Paul as your tutor. Once again, tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you for $50 off your first month. Start with no risk and see how the power of a coach with daily accountability can literally change your life.